Hey, what's up, boys and girls? On today's episode, I discuss the Warriors just basically reflecting life, why they deserve to lose this series, and why you should have been able to notice this all damn season like I was trying to tell you. The Denver Nuggets really remind me of a certain team, a team that I hate, and they're starting to show signs of it. I'll let you know which one that is. And also, you young kids today, you don't understand. Maybe Arnold can teach you a lesson. Nya, nya. Sometimes life bites you in the ass. Sometimes Lonnie Walker sticks you in the face. Stay tuned. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Tricky Guy Sports Podcast. It's your host, Double B, a.k.a. Brent Bilski. We have interesting things all over the NBA to discuss. We have the Denver Nuggets getting up on the Suns. You have the Celtics, quote, dropping the ball, Heatles over the Knicks. But I am going to start off today with my team, the team I've discussed all year, the Golden State Warriors. And it's just as the sun is setting on them, it's a gloomy day here in Houston, Texas. A Warriors fan, and it looks like everything that I tried to say kind of came back to bit him in the butt. It looks like it's pretty much done. And you'll find out in life, in a lot of things that happen, sports will follow the same pattern of the universe. And the fact is, the Golden State Warriors all year have been arrogant, they've been unfocused, they've been dismissive, they've been living in the past, and it finally came to bite them in the ass. It's just, I didn't even mean to rhyme there, but it's just an unfortunate situation as a very big Warriors fan myself, and apparently the entire country has been a big Golden State Warriors fan. Just FYI, the ratings on them for this Lakers-Warriors series being led by the last game of Sacramento Kings series is just absolutely phenomenal.
And I read.
Just in case you know, this is some of the most watched stuff we've seen in the NBA basketball in over a decade. The fact is, after their Game 7 against the Kings, which concluded with 9.8 million viewers, that was the largest first-round watched game since 1999. So that's actually over 20 years. The entire Lakers-Warriors series has been record-setting. It has been viewership gold, as it has been entitled. Game 1 had 7.3 million viewers. That was the most-watched conference semifinal game since 2012. Game 2 had 7.3. That was Disney's most watched conference semifinal game 2 ever. Game 3 had 8.373 million. That was the most watched conference semifinal game 3 since 1999 and the most watched since 2011. Game 4 was the NBA's most watched game on cable since 2019, since that was on TNT. So, I mean, it's just...
Damn, Daniel.
I said that before. I said it again before everything started, that this was clearly the series to watch with Steph and LeBron and the history, and then you have the Lakers, arguably the greatest franchise, at least name-wise and historical reference, a la the New York Yankees. There's very few people on the tier that are the Los Angeles Lakers historically. Then you have LeBron and Steph and crew, the defending champions, have been must-watch television this entire time. However, and this is the segment I'm going to start things off with, I used to call this called shots or shots fired.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
He's calling his shot.
I'll just say it again. From the beginning of the season, and usually here I'll bring back audio that I've said before, but just go to anything recorded I've done since doing this podcast in the history of ever when I've mentioned the Golden State Warriors. And when I've watched them, I'm a fan. I love them. But the fact is, all year I've look, they've got a puncher's chance, but they're flawed. They're just flawed. They're a flawed team this year. This is not the team from last year. I didn't have a podcast last year, unfortunately, because I would tell anyone who was listening by about Game 5 of the regular season. I was telling people, I was like, the Warriors are winning this whole thing. And that was before Clay had really come back and everything had been working out. I just saw the writing on the wall. I saw the focus. I saw everything working out. And I was like, this team is ready. This team is ready to prove a point. And unfortunately, this year, they have done everything but that. They have done everything but prove my point. Instead, they have done exactly what I told you they're going to do, which is, have moments of brilliance that get unfocused and eventually blow it the way they have.
See, I done told you.
I mean, the fact is they are now down 3-1, about to be done most likely. They probably win Game 5 and then move on, and we'll see what happens to Game 6 in L.A. I mean, again, still the puncher's chance. But the overall fact is the entire year, this has been a team who has been arrogant, unfocused, dismissive, and living in the past. I mean, just the entire season. And I'm telling you, it's so funny how much the universe will follow the pattern of just sports and life will just coincide. I think that's one of the most interesting things about watching sports. The fact is, you can't do these types of things. I'm learning this, getting into my situation, again, with sobriety and all that. And I don't want to always use that as a crutch, but you saw it. Anyone who thought they had it in the bag, anyone who would kind of get resting in their laurels, anyone who would cling to certain ways of thinking, or I had success this way before, and not being able to understand, be present, be in the moment. Don't ever get too arrogant. Confidence is good, arrogance is bad. And this idea of, well, if I need to, I can always just go back to what I did without doing the preparation necessary now in order to keep it. And that's been their story all year. This last game they lost, the Game 4, I got to say this, I don't even think they played bad. As far as their focus, their intensity, that was the only one I've seen so far, Sacramento and Lakers included, where I really thought Golden State actually had the focus necessary. They were into it. Now, they did have a microcosm, I will say, in the third quarter at the end of it that was kind of just, again, they were up double digits in both of these last two losses on the road. What should not be that big of a shock because if you consider all their losses this year on the road. But this was what the overall point I was trying to say, and what I kept trying to tell people was like, look, you keep pushing yourself to only focus on, quote, must-win games. Some point in time, the universe is just not going to reward it, and that's exactly what happened. And so this last one, I really thought they were ready. They tried their best. And, this is why March Madness is so crazy in NCAA basketball, because sometimes a Lonnie Walker happens. Sometimes a guy who you don't expect comes out of nowhere and gets you, and the next thing you know, you lost a game that you shouldn't have lost. And that's what I've been trying to say was going to happen if they kept doing what they were doing.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
I mean, Steph's face when Lonnie Walker's 15-point fourth quarter almost outscored the Warriors by himself 15-17 in the fourth quarter in that just debacle. He hit shots he usually doesn't hit. I mean, it's a guy who was out of the rotation completely. And, I mean, all those shots, too, if you go back and look, the Lakers were down in almost every big shot that Lonnie Walker hit. And, yeah, you didn't expect it because this just is what happens when you play with fire. Steph's face right here explains a lot. This was one of the big ones when Steph really, and you could see the focus in defense, and he's trying, but sometimes it's just not your night, and that's why you can't take games off.
Lonnie Walker guarded by Curry. Walker, pull up. Walker.
Look at Steph's face. I'm going to do that again. They show a replay of it, but I don't want to see the replay of the long shot. I'm going to show you one more time and see if I can pause it. Look at Steph's face of just like, you got to be kidding me. You have to be effing kidding me.
Lonnie Walker guarded by Curry. Walker, pull up. Walker.
Right there. Right there. Let me scoot it back just to look at that face as it's a little bit blurred, but even through the blur, you can see the intensity of like, no, we are not. After all the work we put in and all of the effort we put into this game, and Steph continued to play pretty well until, unfortunately, the end. But I mean, this idea of like, dude, we're in, we're focused, we're here, we're trying to communicate defensively, we're putting in the extra effort, we're guarding shooters, we've made sure AD and LeBron are not having the usual dominant fourth quarter that they have. We're not doing this to Lonnie Walker. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And that is what my overall point continued to be. You guys drove me freaking nuts with this. I didn't get how all season when you followed the same pattern, you're shocked that this has gotten here.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
I mean, all season, from the beginning of the regular season, you were too small, you had issues with turnovers, you had bad fouls, and you struggled on the road. And so when you get to a couple big games on the road and you struggle and you lose both after you're up 10 points in both games, and turnovers and bad decisions and overall looseness ended up biting you, and bad fouls, Kerr trying to blame the flopping, stop it. It's not the flopping, it's you're too small and you haven't had the prerequisite foundation necessary to pull this whole thing off.
Look at me, son. It's not your fault.
It is your fault. And, I mean, all the credit in the world to Lonnie Walker being ready for the moment, but the fact is you replay that game 9 million times in a row. I mean, all other 8,999,999,999,999,999, it probably doesn't happen. But that's the way, again, you got what you deserved. And even afterwards, because Draymond Green, who won't stop doing this podcast, as bad as he's been playing, and as much as it's a must-win, the idea that maybe you want to be a little focused. I listened to him like, you still don't get it. You don't understand what really is happening because you've just been so freaking arrogant.
I thought we did an incredible job of wearing both AD and LeBron down. They played a ton of minutes, very high usage. In turn, they went to Lonnie Walker in the fourth quarter. Most cases, that's a win. And it's still a win, by the way. Like, if you can stop LeBron from getting what shots he wants, stop AD from getting what shots he wants, Lonnie Walker beat you kind of got to live with it. Lonnie Walker had a huge fourth quarter, 15 points in the fourth quarter, which was all the points that he scored in the game. And you got to tip your hat to him.
You got to tip your hat to him, but that's not a win. That's not. This is what I'm saying. That little clip just encapsulates their entire attitude of like, well, I mean, we didn't win, but it still was a win. No. In the end, you put yourself there and you got yourself in this trouble because you just
don't get it, do you? You don't.
You just don't seem to get it, do you? This shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. I mean, overall, just watching them and going through this, it's unfortunate, but it's what it is, man. I've kind of serenity prayered my life. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, serenity prayer that they'll make you say a lot is, give me the strength to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. You should have had the wisdom from the beginning to know that you just couldn't set an 82-game previous preference of doing the things you were doing that were so anti what you did last year and just think at some point we're just going to be able to pull into our bag and pull out this magic hat and be able to suddenly, be the champions that we were. This is not 2022. This isn't. This is 2023, and you're different. You're shorter, for one. But just the overall, Draymond all year, don't let us win the championship. They just thought they were just going to waltz back into a Heroes. And in Sacramento series, as much as they were able to get past it, was a lot to do with De'Aaron Fox being hurt and having a hurt finger at the end of those games and Steph's heroic 50-game effort. But you could tell instead of learning the lesson of like, hey, we can't take games off, we can't come in with this idea that people are going to fear us and respect us the way that they used to. They don't, they didn't, and now you're losing to a team you probably shouldn't lose to. I really still feel on paper the Warriors are a better overall team. I do. And you're blowing it, and you're probably going to blow it. Again, puncher's chance with 2 games still in Golden State, but the fact is you're probably not going to do it. You're not going to do it. And so I looked at all their main problems, and let me just get through these and then I'll move on, because this has just been, again, indicative of an entire season and precedent set. The fact is they're too damn small. You need some more grown-ass men.
I'm a grown-ass man, dog.
From the beginning, I have continually, if you listen to me, and go back if you want to and look at all the times I talked Warriors, I just would scream, you're too short. I finally looked it up. They are the shortest team in the entire league. In the entire league. They are worst as far as overall average height in the entire league at 198 centimeters. I had to go to like a European website to get this stat done. But their average height is basically 6.595 inches. So basically their average height is 6.6. They are the only team in the entire NBA who does not have a 7-footer on the roster. Matter of fact, they're the only team that has only one center that's 6'9", and everyone being 6'9" and under. And that being Kevon Looney, who, because of Kerr's need to get into a certain style of small, decided to completely move out of the lineup the last couple losses, which I'll get into here in just a little bit as I discuss just Golden State's overall just reasons for failures. But all of their problems fall into those categories. They are arrogant, thinking that because they've had a little success here and there with it, that they don't have to follow the trend and what's going on currently in the NBA. They are dismissive of all year when they were 29th in the entire league in rebounds and some of the other categories as far as offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds. The fact that they're 29th in the league all season in fouls as they continue to have to foul because when you're just that much smaller. I just don't ever remember. And yes, there was a little run of small ball being able to kind of work, which I would even argue has a lot more to do when you have Steph and Clay in their prime. And, then you had Kevin Durant and some other guys when you would have to go to these, quote, small lineups, that it really wasn't that it was small. You just had these really great players. I kind of put it up with like the Phil Jackson triangle offense. Everyone used to rave about the triangle offense and how amazing it was. And then it's funny, it works when you have Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, or Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. But then when you went to New York Knicks and it would be like, Jeremy Lin and Carmelo Anthony, suddenly the triangle wasn't so unbelievably effective.
Oh, good.
Good for you. It worked when you had Michael Jordan. You know what happens when you have Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant on your team? You know what kind of offenses you can run? You can run a triangle. You can run a square. You can run a rhombus. You know what I mean? You can run a star. Hell, get creative. Run any of the shapes from the old Squid Game when you had to, almost get your head shot off for getting that wrong. Whatever shapes those were. You can run all those shapes when you have those types of guys. You can run a lot of styles when you have a Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and then maybe a Kevin Durant or a Wiggins, all these other guys in their prime. But basically, when you have Steph and Klay and then others, or Steph, Klay, and Kevin, yeah, you can go small. You can do this. You can do that. But Klay's not in his prime. Steph is still great, but I mean, you look at the entire league. Okay, this is the last time I'm going to kind of really delve into this. This is why it's been a stupid idea from the beginning. As I pointed out, just growing up, I used to travel in AAU tournaments and play against, we were a Corpus Christi team. We had to play against, we'd go from Dallas teams to Houston teams. Then we'd have to play teams from other states, LA and these other teams. And even when we could compete, usually at the end, they could just lean on us and just pound us, pun intended, kind of there, not completely.
He kidding my ass.
Relax. But you know what I mean? Like, I never went to a game going, oh, good, we're shorter than them. This is fantastic because now we can run them and we can do all this. I'm so happy that our centers are 6'4" and 6'5", and their guys are 6'10" and 6'11". We just never like high-five, like, woohoo, guys, we're in a basketball game and we're all shorter. This is going to be a wonderful idea and a way for us to keep their centers out of the paint and do all... It's just not. It's not.
Got a good brain.
And it had a cute little, run for a little bit overall. But the fact is, you look at who's remaining. The only team besides you that's very similar to you is Boston. Is the only team that I see so far that still tries to employ Al Horford and Williams and, try to go 6'9" and under in their lineups. And maybe that was fool's gold, too, playing them last year, thinking like, oh, this is still a relevant style. This is a relevant idea to have centers that are shorter but can run and shoot and do things. Let's not worry about rim protection and rebounding because we'll make up for it with all the other little things and the advantages that we get. The fact is Boston right now is about to lose to Philadelphia, most likely, as they blew their huge Game 5, where they were horribly out-rebounded. By the way, 49-36 in their debacle of a loss because, Philadelphia has a guy named Joel Embiid, who, by the way, is the MVP. You look at the 76ers, with their MVP and Joel Embiid, they seem to have a taller lineup that's doing quite well. Look at everyone left contending. Hell, the Knicks might lose, but they have Robinson, Hartenstein, Randall. The Heat, who are looking like they're going to continue their, quote, bubble run, have Bam Adebayo at 6'9", but then Cody Zeller at 6'11". Kevin Love is also above 6'9". You look at the Suns, they got Ayton and Landale. Of course, Denver, who looks the best of everyone, has probably the biggest overall lineup. They got Nikola Jokic, MPJ, Michael Porter Jr., 6'10". You got DeAndre Jordan and others. And you're going against, if you're the Warriors right now, and bringing it all back to your lineup with 6'9" Kevin Looney and under, with Draymond Green at 6'6" as your backup center, trying to guard Anthony Davis and guys like LeBron James at point guard. How is this a shock? I really want to understand that, you're getting beat up and you're getting pounded down low and you're having a hard time being able to deal with it, and you keep expecting that something was going to change. The fact is, in today's NBA, you have 7-footers and the league is flooded with them. Every other team has them. You have 7-footers that can also defend the guards. And so the overall strategy, in case you don't follow this as much as I do, with the all-small lineup, the thought is, and it worked a little bit in Game 2 against L.A., Golden State's overall thought is that you're going to take your shot blocker, your Anthony Davis, and we're going to get guys who can shoot and who can run, and we're going to keep them out of the paint. And basically, we're going to be able to spread your defenders out, which opens up pick and rolls for Curry and other people. And we'll be able to move the ball around, and you're too big and slow. You won't be able to switch on pick and rolls, stuff like that. And you know what? Every once in a while that works, and it also helps when your guys are shooting very well. But you know what else would also help against like an Anthony Davis or a LeBron is having someone who can, A, defend them on the offensive side and keep them from their easier buckets. I mean, the ability to block a shot, to get more offensive rebounds, to maybe get an Anthony Davis or a LeBron or someone else in foul trouble because they're having to double. How about the idea that if you had someone who could finish around the rim consistently and was a threat every single possession, that your defenders against you would have to collapse and then leave, I don't know, guys like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson open, and maybe they would have more openings. I mean, oh boy.
Frustrating. It's frustrating.
I mean, just look at the last play of that last game. If you look at what happened, Anthony Davis is a shining example. And yes, there's not Anthony Davises that complete and that dominant all over the league. But there are guys that are just and arguably more athletic than him that you should at least have somewhere on the roster. The Warriors average 6'6". They do not have anyone on their team that is above 6 feet 9 inches on the team. They don't even have just one 4 and 7-footer just chilling in the back just in case they need them. And today's centers now, they all want to be guards. They know how to handle ball. Most of them can shoot a little bit. And they can also be able to guard even great players like Steph Curry if in pick and rolls and switches. It is not this, idea that these are going to be Shaquille O'Neals and Yao Mings that are too slow a foot. I mean, for every time you get that extra possession or that three-point shot, a lot of times you don't, and at the end of the game, you saw it. Look at Anthony Davis. This guy, this was, everything worked out. This should have been, if you're a small ball fan, this was perfect. You had Steph Curry isolated on their center. This should have been barbecue chicken.
Next one will put the Warriors at the line. No fouls to give either way. Curry dancing with Davis. Lost the handle. Keeps the dribble. 10 to shoot. Curry doing it himself here. 1 foot fadeaway. No good. It's Green with a rebound. Tipped by Wiggins. Another chance for Golden State. Curry a long three. No.
Nope.
Walker with the rebound.
Got the switch, got everything he wanted, and he shut him down twice. And yes, the first one, Steph did rim it out a little bit, but still, I mean, the fact is, you can do in today's NBA, have someone that has abilities to do some things that are nice in the post, because it just makes your life easier a lot of times when you at least have the threat or the outlet of someone who is bigger that can block a shot, that could make an easy dunk here and there. And their whole run We've got away with it before, the arrogance, the dismissiveness, the living in the past. We didn't need to do it. They traded away the only 7-footer they had that was athletic, who actually did pretty decently in Detroit when he got some run and got a little bit more appreciation, all in order to get Gary Payton back, who they never should have lost in the first place, and they wouldn't have lost if they would have paid him the money they needed to at the time. So that was, you look at that, that was one of the many problems that follows the 4 highlights of the issues I saw this year. You looked at the arrogance even. Andrew Wiggins has been very hit or miss, and there is some sadness behind why they had to do it, as far as there was a family issue, and so Andrew Wiggins missed the last month and a half of the season. But the arrogance, not just between the franchise and him, and I don't want to be dismissive, because overall maybe there was something bigger going on and you want to let him be able to deal with it. But you have to be honest with yourself. If you're about to lose, most likely, and the season's going to be over. So just be honest with yourself a little bit. As sad as it was, there was also this idea that he could kind of, they can say what they want. There was an idea that he could keep in shape enough. You can't replicate game speed. In life, you can't replicate game speed. What do I mean by that? I'm basically saying that, you can study for a test, but until you take the test, you'll find out if you're ready, and you'll find out it works at a different speed. Things go faster. You can practice public speaking, and you could practice your speech over and over and over, and until you're on that stage and all the eyes are on you and your adrenaline's going, you can't replicate that in practice. There are so many things, but especially sports, especially the National Basketball Association, that all the getting in shape and things you can do not replicate a must-win game 4 when you've been missing a long time and you can't be consistent. How is that a shock to anyone? So the Wiggins absence, who was the second best player in the NBA Finals last year, not able to be the second best player anymore, has not been a shock to me. The overall issues and things with Klay Thompson, talk about letting him live in the past. All season he has been a little bit loose, a little bit wild. I thought they had a close-up of the Kerr reaction. Honestly, you can pinpoint those last 2 wild-ass shots as reasons the Warriors lost the pretty much most important game of their season. But what do you expect? You've let Klay live on this idea that I can, I'm here to shoot, and he is. And when he's open, he's the best shooter not named Steph Curry in the entire NBA. But he's not the Klay Thompson from a few years ago that can consistently hit wild shots, and you just have to excuse everything he does because he makes up for it defensively and has the consistently, streaky, hot games. He took 2 just horrendous shots at the end of that game, and Steve Kerr's face said it all. Look at this.
Lonnie Walker the 4th. 13 in the corner. Klay Thompson misses again. Lakers maintain the lead with the ball. Minute and a half to go in regulation.
Horrible shot, horrible idea. And Kerr with this look of what are you doing? What do you mean, what is he doing? He's doing what he's been doing this entire season. It's not like Klay Thompson hasn't had issues with inconsistency. It's not like y'all let him, not, sitting him out back-to-backs almost the entire season, not letting him kind of always have his legs under him with the idea that when the playoffs come, he'll just be able to be the old Klay. No, this isn't 2015. This isn't last year. I don't mean to cry about it, but
Crying all the time. Quit crying. Just a push-up or something.
you look at, Jordan Poole. Holy crap! I'll get off Klay Thompson a little bit. Jordan Poole. It's just been a nightmare. In these playoffs. But his looseness, it should not be a shock to anyone. Draymond Green. You've enabled Draymond Green from the start of this season. Draymond Green, it continues that last game. Boy, he was absolutely horrendous. What did he end up doing? I'm trying to remember. Draymond Green, in their most pivotal game of the season, was the worst plus-minus on the entire team. Yes, he had 8 points, 7 assists, 10 rebounds, but he also was a negative 10 plus-minus and had 5 turnovers. None bigger, by the way, than the one at the end of the game. And watching Dennis Schrader just make a face at him was kind of poetic justice. I mean, if anyone deserved to kind of get trolled a little bit for making a just dumbass decision, not be able to even attempt a shot on the final possession of the game because you decided to run the same play you run before. Look at this. When Dre throws it away.
Costly turnover.
Well, they're running a play to try to get Thompson down to the corner, the old hammer play with a back screen on the weak side.
I mean, again, this is not like, oh, this just came out of nowhere. This is you asked for this. Look at the smirk on this prick's face. I mean, don't you just it hurts. It hurts to watch. I want to punch him for him, but this is a guy who's talked all sorts of crap all year. I mean, Draymond from the start of the season, a lot of people kind of, forget this bane of my existence. It's not just been the stop on Sabonis and suspension, the constant technical fouls, the inconsistent play, the inability to shoot in important possessions, and then having brain, spasms the way he did here. I mean, from the beginning of the season, how did this season start? If you want to just talk about a microcosm of arrogance, living in the past, being dismissive of your problems, in practice before the season started, Draymond Green sucker punched Jordan Poole. Hard. And what did the Warriors do about it? Nothing. No suspension, no long-term anything. They had him miss some preseason practice. Big effing deal. You really thought that was going to teach the lesson that you haven't taught him from the beginning.
Oh, good for you.
You really thought that was going to be enough. And it doesn't shock you that after that, he led the league in technical fouls. He got suspended again this year. And now he is not being able to do what you expect him to do because you're asking too much. But yeah, chemistry issues, leadership issues. How is this shocking to anyone when you started the season off with this ding-dong hitting his own player in the face and you did nothing about it? If nothing else, they were upset the video got leaked. Do you remember that? They were mad. They weren't mad, really, that Draymond punched Jordan Poole hard in the face. They were more upset thinking like, hey, who actually leaked the tape? That's a violation of our team policy. What about punching your own player? Is that a violation? Look, the fact is, if you watch them all 82 and into the playoffs like I did, they were 29th in the league in turnovers. They were 29th in the league in fouls. And also had the worst record. I'm going to repeat this last fact one more time, because this is just, besides everything else I've discussed, they were all season 29th in turnovers. They were the second to worst team in the entire league turning the ball over. They were the second to worst team in the entire league in, again, setting this precedent all year of fouling and giving up way too many free throws, always lost a free throw discrepancy. And their road struggles this year as the defending champion. And I really, really want you to stop and listen and comprehend how bad their road record was. I've said it before, and I'll say it one more time. The only other time a defending champion had a worse road record in the entire shot clock era, and this was back in late 1990. So in over 20-something years, we've never seen it, and before that, we hadn't seen it since like 1950, that a defending champion had a road record as bad as the Golden State Warriors, the only last ones in the shot clock era and in NBA history to be as bad as they were on the road were the Chicago Bulls the year after they lost Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, and their head coach, Phil Jackson. That is the only time we have seen a team who won it all the year before come back and be so piss poor on the road that the last time we saw it in any time since the shot clock has been in the National Basketball Association was the year the Chicago Bulls didn't just lose Scottie Pippen, didn't just lose Dennis Rodman. They lost Michael freaking Jordan and Phil Jackson. Warriors returned almost everyone, and yet they still had a road record so bad that it rivaled the Bulls after the last dance. And now they've blown 2 games on the road because they're turning the ball over when they can't do it, and they're not being able to win the free throw discrepancy, and they're getting beat up inside, and they've struggled on the road to get 2 must-win games, and somehow we're supposed to be surprised that it happened.
Explain that to me. Explain it to me, God. Explain it to me, God. I want it explained to me now, Jesus.
And like I said, Lonnie Walker's nights, that's what happens. This is what happens when you do what they did. Sometimes a Lonnie Walker just comes out and busts your ass. Sometimes it just happens. And I mean, almost every one of these shots, Lonnie Walker, and shout out to him. You know, Lonnie Walker, by the way, was the only person in the Lakers' history to come off the bench and score 15 points in a fourth quarter in the playoffs since Kobe frickin' Bryant did it in 1997. I mean, that was the history that was made. That was what that I mean, and every shot was almost without fail of those 15 fourth quarter points were all, by the way, when the Warriors had a lead. When the Warriors had a lead.
It really helps our offense with our pace.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Thanks to
Warriors had a 7-point lead.
Gets up the first,
3.
The fourth, and number 4 drills a 3 for LA.
Just bad defense, bad.
Draymond Green and a hot pass right through Wiggins. Lonnie Walker beats Thompson. Lonnie Walker.
Turnover leads to an easy basket for Lonnie Walker.
Great efforts by the Warriors.
Don't pay attention on the inbounds.
Delivers
Shot for Lonnie Walker.
in the fourth quarter. Curry got a hand on that. Walker,
Warriors up 2. Lonnie's feeling himself. Hits that.
Trail. Lonnie Walker's been
Up
excellent
2. Big
quarter.
defensive possession. Floater.
Keeps it rolling. He's got 11, all 11 coming in the fourth. To your point, Coach, got to stay ready.
Warriors up 1.
Walker guarded by Curry. Walker, pull up. Walker.
Take that, Steph looks in disbelief. What don't you believe? What's not there to believe? You did this. You did this to yourself. You earned every bit of this early exit that you didn't need to have. It's what it is, man. It's what it is. I'll move on. But that was my called shot. That was me telling you all season. I just thought this was just embarrassingly obvious that they were going to get themselves to this point, and they got themselves there.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
I'm good at this.
See, I done told you. I done told you.
Good team, puncher's chance, but flawed due to their arrogance, their unfocusedness, if that's a word, being dismissive of their past or their current issues and living in the past. Bit them in the ass. Just did. What can you do? Other thing that drives me nuts about this whole thing, as I just pointed out, Lonnie Walker has been phenomenal. I look it up, and the LA Lakers, who look like they are going to move on and are now one of, I believe, the favorites, according to Vegas, to win the entire NBA championship, with Milwaukee Bucks falling out of line and having the Giannis injury there, Memphis having the Ja Morant injury and their issues. And, overall, this is really a road, and the Warriors, just waiting for 2022 team to show back up, blowing what they shouldn't have blown. They now have a pretty golden, pun intended, road to at least getting a good chance of making the NBA Finals. And if it's a Miami or another low seed, having a really good opportunity of winning the entire thing here. But, man, you guys just won't. You just can't do it. You just can't let the Lakers be the story. And I get it to a point, but then I don't. With the LeBron James stuff, you're killing me. I won't stop. I will not stop because you won't. When you stop, I'll stop. When you stop, I'll stop. Because in the stop of Game 4, and this is just a microcosm of what I'm talking about. Again, Lonnie Walker almost outscores the Warriors by himself in the fourth, 15-17. Anthony Davis has been a just absolute monster this entire series and has really been the overall consistent deciding factor. LeBron has been solid. I mean, in that last game, he had, what did he have in that game that they won? LeBron had, 27, 6 and 9. I mean, had a good game. But the last stop of the game is, look at this. So someone puts this online. This is why I won't let it go. That you just, the overselling and the overcredit you want to give one guy, it just makes me go, well, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? So the last stop when Draymond threw it away because, they were able to read the back screen they tried to do for Klay Thompson is all LeBron, apparently, for pointing a finger.
For the Lakers, what are you switching on and off the ball? And then when will you give a foul?
Green throws it away.
Did you miss it? Did you somehow miss the greatest defensive play that makes him, quote, according to this guy tweeting, a defensive wizard? On that switch, he pointed to Anthony Davis to, hey, switch. That was the greatest defensive play, apparently, in the history of playoff basketball. Watch it again.
Lakers, what are you switching on and off?
Point. He pointed. He pointed. He pointed. He pointed over there. He said, Anthony, go over there. This could not have been discussed in the timeout by Darvin Ham or anyone else, or Anthony Davis being one of the best defensive players in the league, knowing to switch on the screen, or the fact that the Warriors have run that play ad nauseum over the season. It's because LeBron pointed. He told him where to go, and he went to go. He's a defensive wizard. A wizard? A No, stop it. I am not a bad person. I don't hate. No.
I hate.
Oh my God. He's a defensive wizard now for pointing his finger. It's like watching, you ever had a friend who's way too into politics or something, and they have that one politician, whatever side of the aisle you're on, and it's goofy. Like, they can make the most patty cake ding-dong response in a debate. My opponent stinks. I do not stink. I sometimes take showers. Oh my God! That's the greatest answer I've ever heard. If that person was in charge, everything would be utopia. Everything would be wonderful. LeBron pointed his finger. He's a defensive wizard for that. A wizard. A wizard. I mean, it's I showed this before, but I think we ended up not using it. The post-game inspirational speech, it's so just unbelievable. He was talking to the team afterwards. I think this is game 1 or 2 about they need to level up. And, I mean, okay.
Level 1 complete. Get harder and harder each level, all right? Y'all play Call of Duty. Y'all know what that means going to the next level. Y'all play Mario Brothers. You know what it means. And Super Contra when they go to the next I'll say level 2. So level 2 is upon us. Like you said, tomorrow, decompress, get away from the game, and then we get back locked in, all right?
Mentioning games they've probably never heard of. But yes, LeBron, yes, anyone in that locker room understands, you know what level up, like in Contra, or like in Super Mario, or like in Sonic the Hedgehog, or in Donkey Kong, or in... Yes, we get it, dude. Yes, the one teammate going, damn, like he's just dropping the most wisdom in the world. I had to hear after he made the layup the other time over, who was it, Jaren Jackson, and he had to do this long-ass explanation, same thing of like, I practice layups. There's tier 1 where the layup's like right there, but then there's tier 2 where a guy's this tall and you got to put it on this part of the glass. Then there's tier 3 when he's really tall and you got to put it over here. I mean... Currently, right now, LeBron James leads the LA Lakers in one category. It is points per game at 22.6, but it's not like he's just lighting the world on fire. LeBron James is averaging 22.5, 10 points and 5. He's also shooting under 50% from the field at 47% and 23% from threes. Okay. He points very well. He can explain video games from 1990 very well, and he's still doing great for 38 years old, and he's still on the team that's winning, and he is obviously a humongous part of what's happening right now. But just relax with it. The overselling continues to just make me roll my eyes. I really just can't keep ignoring, after everything that went wrong in that series, to have to listen to someone put a video up and go, he pointed, he's a wizard. He's a god dang wizard. It's cool. You know what? It's cool. Anthony Davis is averaging 21, 14 rebounds, 3.7 blocks, shooting 53% from the field, 27% from 3 points, actually better than LeBron. And defensively, by the way, He has, on 161 field goals attempts that he's guarded over this whole series, he's only allowing 28% field goal percentage and 21% from three. He's had the big stop on Steph Curry, has continued to be the most dominant and toughest force, and really the reason that the small ball Warriors concept is not working. But I have to listen to a bunch of ding-dongs tell me it's because LeBron James pointed to him to go to the right, that's why he did it, not because he has any instinct of his own. It's just... In other news, the Denver Nuggets. I figured out Denver. I finally figured out the Denver Nuggets, as they are now up on the Phoenix Suns, who I told you, by the way, are too top-heavy. I told you that playing high minutes and not having a bench was going to bite them in the ass, and I was right on that one, too.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
Because I'm good at this. But I kept saying with Denver, I would look at them and I would wonder. And I would wonder, what is it that they are good at? What is it that they do? And do they have an identity was my big question of like, what exactly makes them a contender? What exactly makes them great? Because all good championship teams have some sort of identity. It's hard to be good at everything but great at nothing. Warriors shoot well. Lakers are great defensively. You look at the bad boy Pistons would beat you up. You know what I mean? Like almost every championship team, if you go throughout history, had something they could hang their hat on. And what can Denver hang their hat on? You know what? They're consistent. They are consistent, and they remind me of a team that I can't stand from a long time ago. They're the Spurs. They're the new age San Antonio Spurs. And I hated the San Antonio Spurs. But they're Jokic and Duncan almost correlate beautifully. They are both non-athletic, unbelievable MVP caliber leaders of their team that the entire team kind of goes through on their identity and the way they do things. They're team oriented. As you looked at their last victory over Phoenix, they had 5 guys, including one of their bench players, with 25 points, with 10 points or more. They are not going to streak. They're not going to get up a lot, get down a lot, but they're just going to water eroding rock. They're just going to kind of consistently stay there and not get unpoised, and they're just going to keep grinding at you and hit you and just wear your ass down, all led by their unathletic, unassuming center superstar that's probably a little bit dirtier than you think. And that's what I hated about San Antonio. I hated the San Antonio Spurs. They had this kind of squeaky image led by their doe-eyed, slow, aw shucks. You wouldn't really recognize the 39 points Tim Duncan would drop, but then you'd go over and rewatch the game. It'd just be jump hook here, little jump shot there. It would never be highlights. So they are so San Antonio Spur-like. I was looking at, they were trying to show from one of the games, Jokic, quote-unquote, highlights. Look at these. These are very Duncan-esque. This is very Tim Duncan. You won't remember it, at the end of the game unless someone reminds you of it, but he'll hit about 16, 17 of these, and then eventually it'll add up to 35, 40 points.
They're just trying to find some balance to assist Booker and Durant. Here comes Jokic banging bodies with Ayton. Contact, and he's
fundamentals,
headed to the free throw line.
Touch, nice little spin move on Ayton,
He delivers with a beautiful bounce pass on those cuts to the rim, so you got to just have active hands defending
Gets the smaller guy.
Jokic, little pirouette, puts it down.
Spin, as the announcer said, little pirouette.
Wrestling match between Jokic and Ayton on the box. 5 to shoot. Jokic spins, shoots over the double, and puts it down.
Nice touch. Just kind of rims it in off the spin move there. This one's the closest to a highlight.
Jokic bangs into Booker, flicks it up, and it goes.
That is, I finally figured out the Denver Nuggets are the new age San Antonio Spurs. I hope it doesn't lead to repeat titles for them as another, smaller market, great fan base. They are so identical to a team that I hated that team. I hated the San Antonio Spurs.
I hate.
Because they had the entire world fooled on the idea that they weren't also some dirty, kind of cheating, would roll your ankle, would elbow and knock Steve Nash into the sideline after they lost a game, kind of poor sport. blurring the lines of good and bad sportsmanship, and yes, being led, by the way, by Nikola Jokic as he pushed the owner of the last game with a little elbow shove. And I thought kind of, was able to clear the runway, so to speak, this was cute. So after the last game, when most people, in case you missed it, Nikola Jokic was trying to get the ball out and ended up elbowing a fan. And he didn't realize, by the way, that it was the owner of the Phoenix Suns when he did it. And so the next game, right before the game, I thought this was cute.
And here's the Joker, and you know who else is in Denver? Oh, he hands him the ball. Matt Ishbia,
the owner of the Suns, Matt Ishbia, hands him the ball this time because last time he fought him for it. I thought that was funny, thought that was cute. And then the game started. And at one point, while they're up, by the way, they're already winning in a pretty much easy fashion. That entire game really didn't have much to it. But him and another player decide to try to do the most annoying thing in the world, which is during a Phoenix Suns huddle in that game, they try to peek in and, let's see what you're doing. It's trolling. It's nonsense. There's really no strategy to that. It's not like they're really going to learn much. It's really just to be a kind of a cheap shot artist and you're up already. It's kind of rubbing it in. It's just being a little bit of a prick. If I'm being 100%, it's just being prickly is what it is. And KD didn't like it, gives him a shove. And it's so ironic that he bitched about the flop, because I'll try to find the owner again. When he hit the owner and the owner flopped back, that he pulls the exact same crap when KD touched him. Look at this is Spur-like. This is very Spur-like from the 90s and 2000s.
So this was the scene. You see Monty, Jokic trying to listen in. Then Bruce Brown, who knows KD well. They spent the last 2 years together. And then the push, Durant of Jokic.
I mean, Durant's not that strong.
Right.
He's not that strong. A lot of flopping in this series.
All right. So KD has been...
Yeah, KD gets a tech out of that. I mean,
is this real life?
You were already up. You were trolling him on purpose. And then the way that he flops, now I got to show it again, because he was all bitchy. And so were the Denver Nuggets about he didn't even push him that hard, and he's being a little girl about it. No. Watch this. So this was from the other game when he shoved Matt Ishbia, the owner.
It over. Now, boy, Jokic, a little bit of contact. Boy.
And, yeah, one more time, if you look, he does flop. I mean, the owner, Matt Ishbia,
little bit of contact. Boy.
By the way, is a former walk-on basketball player for the Michigan State championship team in the year 2000. But keep that image in your head and then watch this one more time and tell me either if this wasn't premeditated, that this is, if nothing else, the irony of you pulling the same crap after also doing some questionable, dirty, out-of-pocket behavior. I mean, the fact is the owner of the Suns probably shouldn't have tried to hold on to the ball and fight him for it, in the same way that you shouldn't have been in their timeout huddle, Jokic.
So this was the scene. You see Monty, Jokic trying to listen in. Then Bruce Brown, who knows KD well. They spent the last 2 years together. And then the push, Durant of Jokic.
I mean, Durant's not that strong. He's not that strong. A lot of flopping in this series.
Yep, a lot of flopping, a lot of extra behavior. Ooh, I'm going to keep playing because it's just, I remember this. I really don't want to see this come back. I remember this crap. It's boring. It's not what people think it is, and because they had the small market kind of manipulation, I'm like, oh, shucks, we're just the underdog, former both ABA teams. We're just here. We're just glad to compete, and it was all this, lying to your face. What was the old Leave It to Beaver kid? Even that might be a little out of my reference at this point, but this idea of oh, yeah, I had no idea that was the owner, and I pushed him, and he really flopped, and then someone hits you, and now you flop, and Within 5 minutes, I really kind of just stumbled onto this theory, and now I really am, you know what, I don't like it. Screw the Denver Nuggets. Screw them. Hope you lose. I hope KD and them come back, even though they won't because they're too top-heavy. You can't rely on just Devin Booker and Kevin Durant to keep playing like 45 minutes and keep trying to get you 40-something points a night. It just wasn't going to work. I told you it wasn't going to work, and that's just what it is. So, have we covered it? I think we covered the most stuff here. I like to end the shows with videos.
You seen it? You seen it? Don't look at me. Don't look at me, little puppet.
Have you seen this? Have you read about this?
In case you are listening, we also have a YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, just search Tricky Guy Sports. You'll be able to find all these and enjoy this. Yes, I do play some video during the show, obviously, but a lot of times you'll either hear the play-by-play or something. This is truly, a lot of it's just stuff you're going to have to see to react to that I think is funny because I like a palate cleanser at the end of the show. As much as I am upset at Klay Thompson's bad shots, I'm a dog guy and he loves his dog. He has a dog named Rocco. Rocco seems to be a good boy. They were showing this. He's very obsessed with he has looks like a bulldog, pure bulldog named Rocco. And he looks like he's a good boy. Helped him out through rehab. Dogs are great for all this stuff, but they were showing me this. I thought these were cute. Curling Rocco as he's holding on to the...
8, 9, 10.
Look at that.
Wow.
Look at him curling his puppy. Look at him curling his puppy off-season workout. He's curling his boy Rocco who's holding on to the thing because he's just... There's another one here. Rehabbing right between his legs. I can't stress enough, if you have any problems in life, get you a dog. Dogs are the greatest. They are these joyous creatures we don't deserve, and they're free. They're everywhere. There's shelters right now. There's somewhere a dog about to die that could be a perfect companion for you that you can go scoop up today. You can go scoop one up today if you wanted. They are such cool animals to have around. Yes, they can be a pain, but they're also amazing. Look at him riding in the car, just chilling.
Rocco!
Rocco!
What's up, boy? Taco!
Maybe you can help console Clay because they're about to blow everything that they've done. I also wanted to, let me see, what else did I have here that was entertaining? This was, okay, young people. Young people, I got to talk to you again. I have continued to complain that young people are just, the youth is wasted on the young. Your lack of understanding of any generation before you is getting more and more frustrating. And this time I want to highlight Arnold Schwarzenegger was on the Bill Simmons podcast. And as I was just discussing Nikola Jokic, you look at guys like Luka Doncic and others. The worst take I've heard in a long time is the idea that athletes from back then wouldn't be able to compete from athletes of today because there's just such an athletic difference in the speed and the strength and everything. Like you guys just invented weightlifting in 2012 or something. But, Arnold was a 7-time Mr. Universe. Go rewatch Pumping Iron. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he knows about the strong people, and he's talking about Wilt Chamberlain here. So this was a great one. And just in case you really think you know everything you need to know, 19-year-old, that Wilt Chamberlain or guys like him wouldn't be able to compete against, say, I don't know, Embiid or something stupid. Wilt was a freak, an absolute freak of nature. Listen to Arnold talk about the times he worked out with the Chamberlain and things of that nature.
Was another one that I met and trained with. Wilt Chamberlain.
You trained with Wilt Chamberlain?
Yeah, Wilt Chamberlain would be in the gym. We eventually ended up doing a movie together.
Yeah, Conan.
Conan the Destroyer, exactly. Yeah. But I was a big fan of his because he came to the gym and he would do a tricep extension that, like, the big guys, the strongest guys, would do, let's say, 120 pounds, let's say, tricep extension, pulling down, right? He would come and he would do 150, 170 pounds. Wilt Chamberlain. That's how strong he was.
They always said he was by far the strongest person who's ever played the NBA.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember that he lifted me up like with one arm like nothing. I remember
he lifted me up on one arm like nothing, like I was girly, man. He lifted me over here. He lifted me over there. Wilt Chamberlain was strong. I don't want to keep doing Arnold all day because I'll go insane. But, I mean, the fact is that, yes, I mean, even bodybuilders, Wilt Chamberlain was... Stop it. I hear, I can take a lot of young people's opinions on things until it comes to sports, and they'll say dumbass things like, well, the problem is you can't really compare Jordan, Chamberlain, and these guys because athletically they wouldn't be able to compete in today's new NBA. It's such a piss poor, stupid. I think that everything is better now because I don't really know much about anything else. I don't really follow history. It's such a dopey take.
That's dopey talk. That's dopey dum-dum talk.
If you want to listen, if anyone should know about the lifting and the weights and being the strong and the things of that nature, it's Arnold. Nah, you punk little girl. Nah. And by the way, today's generation also soft as baby crap. Yeah, this whole NBA, you watch these shoves, you're watching all these flops.
S-O-F capital T, soft.
I saw one the other day, Daryl Dawkins, in case you don't remember, from the Philadelphia 76ers, the last time they were good, was their big center and was called Chocolate Thunder because he broke backboards consistently and was funny and all that. Real jovial guy until you pissed him off. NBA TV played an old fight from one of their playoff games. Notice a couple things. A, that I don't even believe this was called a technical foul or anyone was ejected for this. But you think of all the flopping, think of like Schrader and the Lakers, think of Jokic just pulling the crap he just pulled, even owners flopping nowadays. This is like in 1981. Yeah, you arguably just as athletic, and you definitely weren't as tough. No one right now could handle Chocolate Thunder in a bad mood. That's for damn sure.
Hustling back. Gilliam inside.
Ah.
Jumps back up. And Ramsey's out on Dawkins. And Richie.
Oh, you want this smoke, little bitch? Okay. Catch these hands. You can catch these hands. Him and Irving squaring up.
Dawkins and Lucas. Jack Ramsey pushing Dawkins. And now they pull Lucas back. Ramsey is out there. They've got Lucas controlled. Now there's a fan out there. Jack McKinney and a fan. Assistant coach Jack McKinney. Zinkoff trying to restore order here in Philadelphia. They've got to get the fans off. That's the first thing they've got to do, is get the fans off the floor.
This is great.
Daryl Dawkins actually got Doug Collins in the eye. As you see him being attended, and he is bleeding. He's probably going to need some stitches, punched by his own man. I see the blood on the towel, no doubt about it, that Domenico has.
No ejections, no nothing, and his own player from his throwing wild hands is bleeding. I mean, you guys just...
S-O-F capital T, soft.
It's all right. You'll get old one day. You'll get there. Now, eventually, Father Time does catch up to us all. This is, I love this one. So, Grandma, it looks like some sort of school, like the knockout, in case you ever played knockout growing up, it's the free throw competition of, yes, someone shoots a free throw before you, you try to make the shot before they can make it as the person behind them. If you do, you can knock them out. Looks like some sort of faculty or something here. And yeah, having, youth does pay off eventually, especially if you're like seemingly, 85, as this woman is in a knockout competition. Yeah. Turn down the volume because I don't want to get the music copy violation here, but. Yeah, that quite didn't. Father Time does eventually catch up to us. It's very true. I really thought she might. I thought this highlight was going to be something good the way they were kind of hyping it up, and then Grandma finally gets her shot here. Yeah, go get it. Go, Grandma. Enjoy it while you can, because it does. Comes for us all. Eventually, everything that you reap will be sown, as the Golden State Warriors have found out, and as I look at the clock, I have found out. Got to get out of here. We'll see if they can hold on for a little bit. It probably won't be, and in the end, learn the lesson. Learn the lesson that this team and this year should have taught you if you were a fan. Arrogance, dismissiveness, living in the past and not staying focused and not staying present will eventually get you. At some point, a Lonnie Walker will show up and stick it in your face. It's just the way it is. See you next time.